Look how short Kagan is. I know you can hear me. How Are we back?
Yeah,
we're back.
We're on.
Welcome again to your Friday edition of Live Feed Reads with your host, me and Ed McMahon. Nope, Jason.
Yeah.
All right, so we want to test the microphones because one of our loyal listeners, Brian, basically states
Points out all my flaws.
Yes,
Yeah,
well,
no,
and I have
appreciate
none, but he
Yeah.
he says the microphone sometimes you can and can't hear, so
Yeah.
we're trying to work on that. Brandon Staley is in the other room. He's supposed to be coming in, letting us know whether he can hear us, but good help is hard to find.
Is this thing on? Hello?
Yeah, hello.
I'm actually on my phone trying to.
Yeah, see if we can hear. Brandon, are you there? Can you hear us?
Constantly moves things around.
Yeah.
Me, and I'm like, it was here the other day.
Hello, Earth to Brandon. Hello.
He's going.
Hello, Earth to Brandon. Yo.
We get sound.
Can
All right, good. Good.
All right,
Is
so
this thing on?
yeah, is this thing on? All right, so before we get started, and I'm not going to talk politics, but I'll tell you, last night in between the Rays game and a Netflix show called Billions, which is very good, I happened to stumble upon President Biden's speech. So I literally watched it maybe 1 minute, if not that.
Okay.
And so in that 1 minute, I don't know how I was lucky enough to hear this, but basically he said, and I quote, "Our Constitution opens with the words, 'We the people.' It's time we remembered that we the people are the government."
Wait.
Wow.
Wait a second.
Nope. I can't make this up.
Did I mishear you?
Nope. We
So
the people are the government.
Is the government.
Not you. Not me. And again, I'm not going to get political, but wow. So anyway, let's move on to the...
So, a government of the people, for the people.
Nah,
by
move
the
on.
people, is
So
the-
this,
okay,
can you
all
see
right,
this?
Yeah.
Well,
Mostly.
yeah. Anyway, the Supreme Court of the United States,
Yeah.
just out of... Look how short she is. But that's neither here nor there. These are the people that really run the country, so to speak, or at least keep tabs on those who do.
Sure.
So there was a case that I saw having to do with First Amendment rights, and it came up. I'm like, that's pretty interesting. And what happened was there was and mind you, this was 5 or 6 years ago, and it's just making it to the Supreme Court. And remember, like I said in the past, the Supreme Court could care less about this individual particular case. They use this case to frame certain rights, in this case, First Amendment, freedom of speech. Okay. And this girl was a 14 at the time at a public school, and she was on the junior varsity cheerleading team.
Okay.
And, of course, they had tryouts or whatever to make the varsity team, and she didn't make it. All right, so her and another, friend are at home or wherever. They weren't at school, and they're using Snapchat, and they basically give the F cheerleading, F school, FFF, and they give the old double finger up deal.
They're happy.
Yeah, they're mad.
They're happy.
But remind you, this didn't happen at school. This happened at home.
Oh, okay. So they're not at a game, at the end of the game?
Nope, they're at home.
Okay.
Off school premises. Might not even be probably not even school hours. Could have been the weekend.
Okay.
So, Snapchat, like you can do on Snapchat, I guess someone either took a picture of it more likely than not,
Yeah.
or otherwise saved it,
Sure.
showed it to the head cheerleading coach, I'm assuming a teacher at the school. And long story short, they ended up suspending the 14-year-old for that speech for the F this, F that, F the world, and shooting a bird.
So she's mad.
Yeah.
Emotional, says a bunch of stuff they don't like.
Right.
But she's not around them.
She's at home.
She's at home.
Right.
Did she name any of them, or was
Nah, just it was F cheerleading, F the school, F everything. Okay, so they suspend her. So now, 5 years later.
Wait, was she saying inciting any kind of like?
That's it. Just
that was
F cheerleading. Okay. Yeah, just blowing off steam. And no one's arguing with that. I mean, that's the consensus.
So no, like, I'm gonna get you.
No, just blowing off steam, like
level,
yeah, okay. Exactly.
All right.
And so the Supreme Court agreed to hear the case. Now again, they could care less because the girl actually got reinstated from an appeal, and so all's well that ends well with that. But they don't care.
Okay.
They want to basically decide what basically public institutions can do when it comes to regulating speech that does not occur, like in the workplace, I'm assuming, or at school or otherwise. Let's just limit it to school.
Okay.
Now, mind you, you got to remember where everybody makes the mistake that says freedom of speech. I can say what I want, when I want, how I want, and those types of things.
Sure. Understand
this: freedom of speech, the First Amendment, does not apply to private entities. So your job at, you name it, McDonald's, Walmart, Read and Read, they can say you can't say this, you can't do this, and so forth, and you do not have a First Amendment right to say, I can say whatever I want. No, you don't. So remember that. If you work for the government, that's one thing. If you work for a private corporation or entity, you don't have a First Amendment right, period.
Okay.
Just that simple. So anyway, they're going to hear this case, and they're going to decide basically whether or not, or to what extent, the school system in this case, which again will expand to others, but to what extent can public institutions moderate speech?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do, honestly. Certainly, there is a level of that schools, you can't threaten a school. We all know that. You go on Facebook and you say, I'm going to come and blow up the school. That speech is not protected. That's a given.
Right. Yeah. Like anything that incites violence.
Yeah. You can't run into a crowded movie theater and yell fire, things of that nature.
Right.
So you don't have absolute freedom of speech. And it's just interesting. I wonder why they took this case.
Yeah.
I mean, but my guess is because, you had a good point. Tell me, when you were talking about how, your First Amendment rights, the government can regulate it.
Right. So along that point, the government, like you were making this point that like the First Amendment is to protect you against the government censoring your speech.
Right.
But like the government kind of sort of as of late is basically outsourcing the censoring of your speech by using entities that they can control by putting their weight on them, like Twitter and Facebook and Google, in order to clean up or moderate
or censor
effectively, or even flat out censor. And so like they're not doing it themselves, so they're doing it vicariously through like another entity by way of putting weight on them. And by that way, that's where it gets really, really tricky because
it's scary. That's not tricky.
Yeah.
It's downright damn scary.
Yeah, it's
scary,
kidding? Yeah, because it's tricky to hold them accountable. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's.
And let me tell you, there was back in World War II, there was a saying, a poem, and I forget, and it went something like this. It's like, well, when the Nazis and the Germans, it happened, came for the socialist. I didn't care, I wasn't a socialist. Mm-hmm. And then when they came for the lawyers, I didn't care, I was a lawyer. Then they came for the politicians, I didn't care I wasn't a politician, I didn't care.
Yeah.
And it goes on and on. And then at the end it just says, well, when they came for me, there was no one left to defend me. Mm. And so, it just, and again, you can Google it. It's a pretty famous a saying or a poem or whatever it is you want to say. And it's kind of true. It's like, I don't care when they ban that speech because I don't agree with it.
It didn't bother me.
I'm all for it. I didn't care about that because I didn't buy it.
Just wait until something arises that
You
do
do.
care about.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, hey, well, too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've handed the stick of correction to someone. And
Yeah.
now you fall into that.
And well, and on that note, what people don't get, every single law that the government makes, whether it be local, Hillsborough County, whether it be state, DeSantis and company, and I love DeSantis, but that's neither here nor there,
sure,
or the federal government. Every law is basically an infringement on somebody's rights.
Sure.
Now, you may...
it's a sacrifice of liberty in order to protect...
Yeah, and you may agree with it, but again, there may be a law you don't agree with. So you got to be real careful about agreeing with the government. Again, I'm the government, because
Power.
Sooner or later they get rid of the things you like or agree with. Law. Well, what happens when they start coming at you with the things? Wait a minute,
and
that's kind of and again, I don't cast my philosophy on by way of gun rights. That's a big one.
Sure.
Biden last night, we need to get rid of assault rifles.
Right.
Some people agree, 100%.
Yeah.
Some people disagree.
Right. Yep.
And so it said, okay, assault rifles. And mind you, just on a side note, you youngsters out there, back when Reagan got shot, there was a 10-year ban on assault rifles.
Yeah.
And no one even knew about it, hardly. No one cared. You didn't hear about it. But the country didn't go to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
And I got news for you. I've got an AK-47. Do I think I should have an AK-47?
Yeah.
Probably not. It's a hell of a gun. I mean, it's a war machine. I mean, it really is. I mean, you should come shoot it sometime. It's unbelievable. So I have it. They allow it. But I'm not going to lose sleep one way or the other over it. But I'm just saying the example is just simply, every time somebody makes some law, half the people agree with it and the other half don't. And you got to understand, at some point, it may be the half that's in charge or in power that's going to, change everything you believe in. So,
this may be what I'm about to say, maybe more philosophical than legal.
You're a very philosophical person.
Right. Get a few drinks and then sure.
Yeah.
But it seems to me that it's less about government and more about just the way that we as humans deal with power in any way. Right? Like gangs do this.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where it's like, oh, I back this guy. He's got control. He doesn't like what's happening here. And then that can flip on a dime.
Oh,
when
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, and it happens in circles of girls. I know that growing up, my sister, man, her and her friends, they used to just like all on each other, and it was like, it was all okay as long as you weren't the one in focus. And
as long as you weren't the one being bullied.
Yeah, because then whenever it switches, it's like
no fun.
You got to take what you can get or what you've been given.
Right.
Well, you should be able to take.
And back to the whole thing, the whole conversation. That's why these 9 people, love them, like them, agree, disagree.
Yeah.
That's why they're important.
Sure.
And that's why there should not be more than 9. The Democrats are in power this term, and they put 13. Republicans win. It swings back and forth, people. I mean, there's going to be a Republican president again, then there'll be a Democrat and Republican and Democrat. Sure. It just swings. You want this to stay the same.
Yeah.
Because if not, then we only have basically 2 branches of government. And our founding forefathers, they were damn geniuses back in the 1700s. They knew that we needed this branch of government. They knew it, and we do. And so, like I said, they even swing back and forth. If you do some history, there were more liberal justices at one point that people were pulling their hair out. Then came the conservative judges. So they swing back and forth too, and the country doesn't implode or go to hell in a handbasket. So everybody, once again, back to our theme, chill.
Yeah.
Worry about raising your kids, having a good time, making some money at a job, and the American dream, and quit. Don't look for the hatred and stuff. I mean, it's just it's a pendulum.
Well, you can always always find what you're looking for. I think I read it in the Bible. Like, seek what you can find. Like, seeking you'll find, and knocking it'll be open. Like, whatever you go after, you go after the negativity, you're gonna find it.
Yep.
Like, it's there because it exists anywhere.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like,
I'm gonna cut Jason off.
Do that.
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
But here's something interesting that just on back to what we do here. The Florida legislature, their April 30th today ends. There's 60 days.
Okay.
Are they going to get rid of the Florida no fault PIP statute?
Oh.
Which I hope they do.
Yeah,
Or
we talked about that in a
right,
previous video.
or just
if
go.
you haven't seen that video, take a chance
Yeah,
to scroll
because
back down
today's
a
the
little bit
day
and find it.
is
Yeah.
whether they're going to or not,
Ooh.
and then require a mandatory bodily injury liability.
Juicy.
Basically, go to a fault system.
Yeah.
Now, I will tell you who does not like that, who is probably not watching, your medical providers, your chiropractors, and some of these others, because a lot of health insurance plans don't pay for it.
Okay.
And if they do, it's not enough.
Okay.
And so if they pass that, there's going to be a lot of people in that field looking for a job.
Oof.
I'm telling you.
Technical question then.
For everything they do in Tallahassee, it has repercussions.
Yeah, all the way through.
Yeah.
So, they're okay.
Oh, and PIP attorneys. It's a big area.
There's a bill that went through the House that's on its way to the Senate.
Yeah.
That is going to change 1099 contracting.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like it's going to
Brandon, you hear that? You're 1099, you're out.
It's going to narrow the scope of 1099 contracting so narrowly that if it's a function of the business that you're... Don't quote me on this.
Yeah, I hear you.
I didn't read it, but this was passed to me through like a legal program that I'm a part of.
Jason got this just like he got COVID from somebody else.
Yeah, well, we homeschool, and there's a thing called homeschool legal defense that
Wait a minute, we've got a text from Brandon.
Oh,
Don't want to walk in and interrupt, but Jason's volume not
it's too low.
quite.
Yeah,
it's hard to hear him.
I'm too far away. All right.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that. But thank you, Brandon.
Nestle up to the mic.
Yeah. Swing it on over.
Yeah. So apparently, it's going to narrow the definition of 1099 contracting so narrowly that lots of nonprofits rely on them and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
For these.
And this is at the state level or federal?
This is at the federal level, I believe.
It is.
I think the states would probably have to adopt.
Oh,
it
sure,
eventually.
absolutely.
Yeah. But it was just so radical, and they're going to require that everyone be a part of it.
Well, and here,
somehow.
Yeah, I'm not buying that one. But here's understand
so
this. Do you know why they want to change 1099? No offense to you 1099ers. They don't pay the taxes don't get taken out. Like if you're an employee for Read and Read,
okay.
I've got to withhold your taxes, your Social Security, and that Medicaid. 1099, I give you the money, and you are supposed to send off the taxes and your Medicare and your Social Security. I wonder who does that.
Yeah.
Nobody. Wait, Brandon, you back there? That's why because they're losing a lot of revenue.
Okay.
And the sad thing is, most everything that is done is money. It's sad, but it's money, and that's I can tell you, hundreds of millions or billions. If you think of America, how many people are 1099, and how many people actually send in their Social Security money, their Medicare money, and even claim the proper amount on taxes.
I mean, there's a lot.
And I know,
look,
people do.
Don't even,
under the tables, it is what it is. All right, it's a beautiful day.
Yep.
Summer is here.
Truly.
We need some rain.
Eat a hot dog. That's a joke for the upcoming social media posts.
No one can hear you anyway. So we're gonna try to get another microphone for Jason. Otherwise, no one. I'm the man here anyway. So we're going to just with that.
All right.
Bid you a farewell, and we'll see you next Friday, God willing.
All right.
All right.